world of LA Noire shaped an entire generation of gamers all around the world, and while nothing can bring back the feeling of playing it, some games do get considerably close. That's why in this video we'll be going over the best games to play if you loved LA Noire, starting with Mafia 2. The Mafia Trilogy features some of the best video games for fans that enjoyed the action-packed portions of LA Noire, and Mafia 2 is the closest to that same time period. Mafia 2 follows the story of Vito Scaletta, who comes back from war and uses his skills to become a high-ranking member of the Mafia. Mafia 2's open world may not be that reactive, but the vintage vibes that are rife throughout the game will make players reminisce about LA Noire in more ways than one. The Wolf Among Us. Given that The Wolf Among Us is a Telltale game, most people shouldn't expect the investigation segments to be too challenging. Players are gently led through each sequence, and it's pretty obvious what they will need to interact with to push the story forward. However, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. What The Wolf Among Us lacks in detective work, it more than made up for with its gritty aesthetic, engrossing narrative, and a great setting that brings characters from regular fairy tales into the world. In The Wolf Among Us, players follow the story of Bigby as he uncovers a chilling mystery that threatens to rock Fabletown to its very core. What makes this game even more special is that a sequel is finally coming out for The Wolf Among Us, so now is the perfect time to jump onto this masterpiece of a game.
Hey man, what are you doing? Hey, move away from the body now! The fuck is this?
Murdered Soul Suspect. Murdered Soul Suspect surprisingly flew under the radar when it was released back in 2014. The game features a stubborn criminal turned detective in a dark and spooky town, who is shot and killed at the beginning of the story. However, the story continues to follow the ghostly protagonist trying to solve his own murder. And while the storyline is a bit scattered, the destination is worth it, as players will likely not be able to wait to get answers to all their questions. Overall, the game is a great experience for LA Noire fans. Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is a highly complex game with underlying political, social, and even psychological elements that is bolstered by an incredibly well-written storyline. Additionally, the story is rife with crime, which makes it perfect for fans of LA Noire. Detroit Become Human has some pretty amazing gameplay and a great plot as well. Throughout the game, you play as 3 different characters, and each of them represents a different side of the story. One of the characters is even a detective who needs to solve a series of crimes in exciting ways, similar to the events of LA Noire. Heavy Rain. Made by the same developers as Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain is an interactive drama action game in which players control 4 different characters. The game revolves around a branching storyline in which each character can actually die depending on the player's decision. The script for Heavy Rain is incredibly well written, and the plot is super satisfying. It's also one of the few games in which players' decisions truly matter in the bigger picture. The gameplay is smooth and somewhat challenging, and the underlying story of the serial murderer called the Origami Killer will keep players glued to the game until its thrilling conclusion. Disco Elysium. In a world where people must be careful how they balance their jobs, their lives, and even various drugs on the market, Disco Elysium paints a realistic picture of a faulty hero much like Cole Phelps in LA Noire. Disco Elysium follows a drunk and seemingly pathetic detective, but players gain a deeper connection with the anti-hero of the plot by navigating through the harsh environment of the game. Many Disco Elysium players even praise the game for its beautiful soundtrack, innovative gameplay, and amazing storyline, all of which are sure to please fans of LA Noire. So while no game can fully replicate the experience of LA Noire, these titles offer a compelling alternative for those looking to dive into similar worlds filled with mystery, intrigue, and unforgettable stories. Thank you so much for watching Game Rant. Don't forget to check out some of our other lists, guides, reviews, and more. Game on, and we'll see you next time.